moment Jurassic Park first hit cinemas in 1993, audiences were captivated by the sight of all sorts of terrifying dinosaurs, brought back to life in state-of-the-art CGI. Everyone remembers the thundering footsteps of the Tyrannosaurus and the intimidating eyes of a Velociraptor. Over the years, the stakes have only gotten higher, the threats more menacing, and the storylines more complex, with more at stake, some would say to a ridiculous degree. But Jurassic 7 promises to change the game and challenge what audiences have come to expect from the franchise, bringing it back to basics with deeper psychological terrors, more intense survival scenarios, and a storyline that delves into the darkest corners of genetic engineering and its consequences. So hold on to your butts as we explore why the upcoming Jurassic Park is shaping up to be the darkest, most thrilling chapter in the Jurassic saga yet. Universal is set to release the next big-budget film in the Jurassic saga in July of 2025. Directed by Gareth Edwards, written by David Koepp, and with Scarlett Johansson in the leading role. And according to Variety, it will be a completely fresh take launching a new Jurassic era, in which 3 adults and 3 teens find themselves stuck on the island. From what we've seen so far based on behind-the-scenes images, Jurassic 7 is going to be taking us back to basics. Instead of dinosaurs running around cities or high-tech facilities, it's returned to the lush, green jungles. Humid, primal, and filled with all sorts of deadly animals. From something as small as the common mosquito to the terrifying Tyrant Lizard King. But what makes this darker than others in the series? I would argue that, so far, Fallen Kingdom is thematically the darkest, with its exploration of grief and how a man that couldn't handle the loss of his daughter decided to play God and bring her back from the dead through cloning, before Dominion retconned it. It's an extremely heavy-handed story that showcases that there isn't only monetary greed, but emotional, and both can lead to your demise. The Lost World is arguably visually the darkest, both literally and because it showcases just how powerless humanity is. That these state-of-the-art facilities are completely dilapidated, fallen into ruin. It emphasizes the entire theme of the series that nature succeeds over man. So, how can Jurassic 7 beat this? Tone, atmosphere, plot and conflict, themes, cinematography, sound, music, stakes, and consequence. All of these elements have to be accounted for when deciding on the tone of your movie. Now remember, we don't know 100% what this film is going to be like, but we have a pretty good idea based on what's already out there. And with Gareth Edwards at the helm, we get a good idea of what kind of film will be presented. Remember when David Leitch was originally announced to be in talks to become director, which left us quite worried since he has a pretty action-packed and comedic style. But he dropped out due to creative differences, and then Universal acquired Gareth Edwards, a more down-to-earth director. It's immediately clear that they want the kind of style that Edwards has to offer. He has a gritty filmmaking style. He likes to make everything look grounded and realistic. Taking a look at his filmography, at the heart are huge emotional stories involving love, loss, sacrifice, and the human condition. The creator is all about the act of understanding and connecting beyond prejudice and conflict. The father-daughter relationship between the lead characters, one being human and one being an android, transcends boundaries to emphasize the power of love and empathy. Rogue One is all about sacrifice and heroism. The bittersweet ending, where the heroes achieve their mission but at the cost of their lives, adds a layer of depth to the film. Their ultimate sacrifice is both tragic and heroic, reinforcing the notion that true heroism often involves great personal loss. And Godzilla revolves around themes of human vulnerability, the power of nature, and the importance of family amidst chaos. The film's emotional core is grounded in the personal experiences and relationships of its human characters, particularly the Brody family. Ford's journey emphasizes the importance of family and personal courage in the face of overwhelming disaster. Each one of these films have had deep-rooted messages, and we can safely assume it'll be the same for the upcoming Jurassic film. Gareth has been very vocal about how influential the original Jurassic Park was to his filmmaking style. He likes to build atmosphere with visuals and sound and texture, making settings and creatures feel like a real threat. That means the ambient sounds of a haunting forest with the roars of deadly animals off in the distance, the smell of dead carcasses, the squelch of blood-soaked mud. Aspects that will help build an atmosphere of tension and horror. This is something the original 2 Jurassic films did really well. They created a sense of terror, making the threat of oncoming doom feel very real. Texture is something Gareth speaks about all the time in interviews, talking about how he likes to make things feel real and down to earth, as if it's something we can imagine ourselves in. So we can expect this style of filmmaking to carry over to Jurassic 7, which I just cannot wait to see. None of the World films have really had that tangible feeling that what's happening is real. Even with all the fancy new modern effects, it still pales in comparison to the realism of the first, and that's because of texture, both audio and visual. We already have some examples of the kind of scenarios we'll see in the film, one being a callback to the Lost World with the return of long grass, which means we're going to see the pack-hunting raptors from the original films returning, ready to chow down on unsuspecting visitors that find themselves lost in the terrain. I can already imagine the scene of our main character running into the grass in the dark of night, only to see several glowing eyes peering right back at her, before sprinting in her direction, taking down her allies one by one. We also know that they're filming in Malta right now inside a watertight studio, which means we're likely going to get some tense scenes involving the one and only Spinosaurus, where their boat is pulled under as they try to traverse the lake. Sea creatures are easily some of the scariest animals they could use and will bring another level of terror back to the franchise. But it's not just Gareth Edwards' return that has sparked hope that this will be the darkest film in the series. Jurassic fandom over on Twitter, who has successfully leaked information in the past, has revealed that inside sources say the film will have a tone similar to that of Peter Jackson's King Kong, which makes sense since both films are about being stranded on an island populated by all sorts of deadly creatures. And if you've not watched King Kong for a while, let me refresh your memory.
Kill it! Get off my face!
Yes, this film was disgusting, horrifying, atmospheric, all the things that make a brutally dark film. So if Jurassic 7 is going to be anything like this, we can expect some pretty horrific dinosaur encounters that will stick with us for years to come. I'm hoping and expecting a return to form with this film, with terrifying dinosaurs, atmospheric settings, and compelling characters that don't all make it out alive. We don't know the specific story details, but if it can also be thematically bleak, then this may end up being the darkest in the franchise. But could this also be detrimental for the film? The Jurassic World films each earned over $1 billion at the box office. Despite the mixed reception from critics, families always knew they could take their kids to watch Chris Pratt and the dinosaurs doing fun stuff without it being too frightening for younger audiences. If Universal wanted to tackle a darker, more realistic film, this could draw families away from seeing the movie in theaters, instead choosing, I don't know, Toy Story 9 or something, meaning less revenue for Universal. But if they're banking on this being more like the originals, which both earned a lot of money and were more mature with their presentation and themes, then it should just do perfectly fine at the box office. Though I'm sure we'll have some angry parents coming out of the cinema, realizing their child will be having raptor nightmares for weeks.
This movie is definitely not a children's movie!
But that's what we loved about Jurassic Park. It was scary, and we loved it. and Universal is likely banking on the fact kids that grew up on the 2015 Jurassic World are now in their teens or 20s and want a more mature themed film. And from everything we've seen, it's going to deliver just that. But what are you hoping to see in Jurassic 7? Be sure to subscribe and chomp the notification button to become a resident of Dangerville today. Are you excited about this new direction, or would you prefer something closer to the tone of the World films? Let us know in the comment section down below. I've been Alistair, and we'll see you residents in the next one.